13 Ways to Disarm Your Opponent Without a Fight. The Art of Stoic Warfare. Have you ever found yourself locked in a battle of wills? A conversation that spirals into a confrontation, a disagreement that hardens into a bitter feud, a moment where the person standing before you feels less like a fellow human and more like an enemy. In these moments, our instincts scream at us to fight, to defend, to win. We summon our arguments like weapons, we shore up our defenses, and we prepare for a war of words, pride, and ego. But what if this is the wrong war? What if the enemy we are so desperately trying to defeat is not the person in front of us, but the turmoil within us? The title of this journey today speaks of destroying your enemy. The word destroy might sound aggressive, even antithetical to the calm wisdom of philosophy. But for the Stoic, the enemy is rarely the person. The true enemy is the misunderstanding, the anger, the fear, the ignorance that fuels the conflict. To destroy the enemy, then, is not to crush the individual, but to dismantle the conflict itself, to dissolve the hostility, to disarm the negativity, and to transform a battlefield into common ground. The ancient Stoics, men like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the wealthy advisor Seneca, and the freed slave Epictetus, were no strangers to conflict. They faced political intrigue, betrayal, exile, and the chaos of public life. Yet, they cultivated a profound inner peace, an unshakable fortress of the mind that allowed them to navigate the fiercest storms with grace and reason. They left behind a blueprint, not for avoiding conflict, but for engaging with it in a way that elevates you rather than diminishes you. Today, we will walk through 13 of their most powerful strategies. These are not simple life hacks or clever debate tricks. They are deep, transformative practices for your mind and soul. Each one is a step toward a different kind of victory, a victory that isn't measured by who gets the last word, but by who maintains their inner tranquility. This is a journey into the heart of what it means to be strong. Not loud, not aggressive, but calm, clear, and composed. So, find a quiet space. Allow your mind to settle. We are about to learn the art of Stoic warfare, where the greatest weapon is a peaceful mind, and the ultimate victory is freedom. Number 1, delve into the depths of your adversary. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a raging river. The surface churns with white water, foaming and crashing with an intimidating roar. This is the conflict as it appears, the loud, angry words, the aggressive posturing, the immediate and obvious hostility. The impulsive reaction is to dive in and fight the current, to meet its force with your own. But the wise person, the Stoic, does not. They pause. They step back from the edge, and their gaze shifts from the turbulent surface to the unseen depths below. They understand that the river's power comes not from the foam, but from the deep, invisible currents that guide its flow. This is the essence of our first Stoic tactic. To truly understand the person you are in conflict with, you must look beyond their surface-level actions and delve into the depths of their motivations, their fears, and their perspective. The philosopher Epictetus laid the foundation for this practice when he taught, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about things." This timeless insight is a key that unlocks a new level of understanding. The anger, the frustration, the stubbornness you see in your opponent is not the thing itself. It is the result of their judgments, their perceptions, their inner world. To engage with them effectively, you must first seek to understand that world. This is not an act of surrender. It is an act of strategic reconnaissance. To disarm an opponent, you must first understand their arsenal. What drives them? What are they truly afraid of losing? What past wounds are they protecting? What unfulfilled needs are crying out from beneath their aggressive words? Let's bring this into our modern world. Imagine a colleague, Mark, who consistently undermines your ideas in team meetings. He questions your data, dismisses your proposals, and creates a tense, competitive atmosphere. The immediate reaction is to see him as an adversary, to prepare counterarguments, and to fight for your professional survival. But a Stoic would pause. Instead of escalating the conflict, you begin a quiet investigation. You observe. You listen. You learn that Mark is under immense pressure from his own superior, that his department is facing budget cuts, and that he fears being seen as irrelevant. Suddenly, his aggression is reframed. It is not an attack born of malice, but an act of desperation born of fear. He isn't trying to destroy you, he is trying to save himself. With this understanding, your entire strategy changes. You no longer see a villain to be defeated, but a struggling person to be navigated. You might approach him privately, not with confrontation, but with a question. It seems like things are intense for your team right now. Is there any way my project could help support your goals? You are no longer fighting his argument, you are speaking to his underlying need for security. You are bypassing the churning surface and addressing the deep current. So, how do you practice this? First, cultivate dispassionate observation. When in a conflict, mentally take a step back. Imagine you are a detective or a journalist watching the scene unfold. Detach from your own ego, your own hurt, and simply watch. What is their body language saying? What is the emotion behind their tone of voice? Second, ask sincere, open-ended questions. Instead of formulating your rebuttal while they are speaking, listen with the intent to understand. Use phrases like, "Help me understand why this is so important to you," or, "What is your primary concern here?" These questions are disarming because they are not attacks, they are invitations to reveal the deeper truth. Third, look for the hidden riverbed of their past. We are all shaped by our histories. Often, a person's disproportionate reaction in the present is rooted in a past experience. While you may not be their therapist, recognizing that their reaction might not even be about you can prevent you from taking it personally. It allows you to maintain your calm because you realize you are merely a stand-in for a deeper, older battle they are fighting with themselves. This first principle is the foundation for all that follows. By seeking to understand before seeking to be understood, you shift the dynamic from a contest of force to a puzzle of human nature. The once raging river becomes a current you can navigate, and its destination may be a place of unexpected resolution. Number 2, choose your battles wisely. Picture your life as a vast territory, and your energy, your time, your focus, your emotional reserves, as your most valuable and finite resource. Every day, countless potential conflicts arise on this territory. A rude comment online, a driver who cuts you off in traffic, a minor disagreement over household chores, a provocative statement from a relative at a family dinner. Each one is an invitation to a battle. If you accept every invitation, if you fight on every front, your precious energy will be squandered, leaving you exhausted and unable to defend the ground that truly matters. The second Stoic tactic, therefore, is an act of supreme strategic command: choose your battles wisely. A wise general knows that not every piece of land is worth the blood of his soldiers. A wise Stoic knows that not every argument is worth the cost to their inner peace. Seneca, a man who navigated the treacherous politics of Emperor Nero's court, offered a powerful piece of wisdom that speaks directly to this: the greatest remedy for anger is delay. In that moment of delay, between the stimulus of the offense and the impulse of your response, lies the opportunity for strategic thought. It is in this pause that you must conduct a Stoic triage, assessing whether the conflict is truly worthy of your engagement. Let's return to that family dinner. An uncle makes a political remark you find deeply offensive. The warrior instinct in you wants to leap across the table with a barrage of facts and moral arguments. But the Stoic general within you calls for a pause. You ask yourself a series of questions. First, the Epictetus query: is this truly important to my core values and well-being? Is this a direct assault on your integrity, or is it merely a differing opinion, however misguided? Will arguing change his deeply ingrained beliefs, or will it only entrench them further? Second, the cost-benefit analysis: what is the likely cost of this battle? The cost will be the harmony of the family gathering, your own emotional tranquility for the rest of the evening, and potentially a strained relationship with your uncle. What is the likely benefit? A fleeting sense of righteousness, perhaps. Is the benefit worth the cost? Almost certainly not. Third, the Aurelian principle: can I find strength in letting this go? Marcus Aurelius understood that true power often lies in restraint. By choosing not to engage, you are not being weak, you are demonstrating profound self-control. You are refusing to let someone else dictate your emotional state. You smile, you nod, and you change the subject, preserving your peace and the peace of the occasion. You have not lost the battle, you have wisely refused to fight it. This principle is about conserving your energy for the conflicts that define your life. Your health, your primary relationships, your career's integrity, your personal virtues, these are the territories worth defending with all your might. Wasting your energy on the small skirmishes of daily life is a strategic blunder. The person who argues with every anonymous commenter online has no energy left for a meaningful conversation with their partner. The person who fumes over every traffic infraction arrives at work already defeated. To practice this, become a conscious steward of your attention. When you feel the familiar surge of indignation, the righteous urge to correct someone, pause. Take that breath Seneca advised. See the invitation to battle for what it is. Then, consciously ask yourself, is this the hill I want to die on today? More often than not, you will find that the wisest course of action is a dignified silence. It is a quiet declaration that your inner peace is more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of being right. By choosing your battles, you are not avoiding life, you are engaging with it more effectively, saving your strength, your focus, and your spirit for the fights that truly matter. You become the master of your own engagement, and that is a victory in itself. Number 3. Speak with calm and clarity. Once you have determined that a battle is necessary, that the ground is worth defending, the next phase of Stoic warfare begins. This is not a phase of brute force, but of immense precision. Here, your words become your tools, and your demeanor becomes your shield. The third tactic is to engage not with the heat of passion, but with the cool, clear light of reason. You must learn to speak with calm and clarity. Imagine again that your opponent is before you. Your heart may be pounding, your mind racing with 1,000 rebuttals. The natural human tendency is to match their volume, their aggression, their emotional intensity. But the Stoic does the opposite. They become a point of stillness in the storm. They lower their voice. They slow their speech. They choose their words as a sculptor chooses their chisel, with deliberate care and purpose. This approach is not about appearing emotionless. It is about demonstrating that you are the master of your emotions, not their slave. Seneca wrote, "Anger, an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured." When you speak from a place of anger, your message is lost. The other person hears only the aggression, not the reasoning. They raise their defenses, and the conversation devolves into a primitive battle for dominance. When you speak with calm, however, you create an entirely different dynamic. Your composure can be profoundly disarming. It forces the other person to confront their own lack of control. It creates a space of safety where reason has a chance to enter. Here's how to cultivate this skill. First, master the art of active listening. Before you even think about what you are going to say, commit to fully hearing them. This goes beyond simply not interrupting. It means listening with your whole being, making eye contact, nodding to show you are engaged, and reflecting back what you hear. Phrases like, "So, if I am understanding you correctly, you feel that," not only ensure you grasp their point, but they also signal respect. They show that you value their perspective enough to get it right. This act alone can lower the emotional temperature of any conversation. Second, use "I" statements to express your position. This is a fundamental shift from accusation to personal testimony. Instead of saying, "You always dismiss my opinions," which immediately puts them on the defensive, you say, "I feel dismissed when my opinions aren't acknowledged." The first statement is an attack on their character. The second is an honest expression of your experience. It is a fact that cannot be argued with, because it is your feeling. This invites empathy rather than counterattack. Third, separate the person from the problem. The conflict is the issue at hand, not the inherent worth or character of the person in front of you. Avoid sweeping generalizations, insults, or any language that attacks them personally. Keep your focus surgically precise on the specific behavior or the point of disagreement. Think of yourself as a doctor diagnosing an illness, not condemning the patient. Fourth, speak with firmness, but not aggression. Calmness is not weakness. You can state your boundaries, your needs, and your position with absolute, unshakable clarity without raising your voice. A quiet, firm no can be far more powerful than a shouted one. Your strength comes from the conviction behind your words, not the volume of their delivery. Imagine a difficult negotiation with a boss over a promotion. Instead of entering with a list of demands and a tone of entitlement, you enter with a calm demeanor. You listen to their perspective first. Then, using "I" statements, you calmly and clearly lay out your accomplishments, the value you have brought to the company, and your aspirations. You state, "I believe my contributions have earned this opportunity, and I am committed to taking on this new level of responsibility." Your calm confidence is more persuasive than any emotional plea or aggressive demand. Practicing this skill transforms you. You cease to be a reactive combatant in life's arguments and become a calm, centered agent of resolution. You learn that the most powerful voice in any room is often the quietest, clearest, and most controlled. Number 4, seek the shared path. Imagine two mountaineers attempting to scale what appear to be two separate, opposing peaks. From the valley below, their paths seem entirely divergent. They are climbing against each other, each aiming for their own summit of victory. But as they ascend, a surprising perspective emerges. They begin to see that their individual peaks are actually just different faces of the same, larger mountain. And somewhere, beyond the jagged ridges of their immediate disagreement, lies a shared, higher summit, a place of mutual understanding and resolution. This is the metaphor for our fourth Stoic strategy, seeking the shared path. This tactic is a direct application of the Stoic concept of oikeiosis, the idea that all humans are fundamentally connected, part of a single, rational order. While conflict often makes us feel isolated and adversarial, the Stoics urge us to look beneath the surface of the disagreement to find the deeper currents of commonality that bind us. When you are locked in opposition, your position seems irreconcilable with theirs. I want X, and you want Y. But by shifting your focus from stated positions to underlying interests, you can often uncover a shared path that was previously invisible. Consider a classic example, two siblings arguing over the last orange. One sibling shouts, "I need that orange." The other shouts back, "No, I need it." Their positions are mutually exclusive. But if a wise parent intervenes and asks why they need the orange, a new reality is revealed. One sibling wants the juice to drink. The other wants the peel to bake a cake. Their underlying interests are not in conflict at all. The orange can be shared, with one taking the juice and the other the peel. A win-win solution was there all along, hidden beneath their confrontational positions. This principle applies to far more complex conflicts. Think of a business negotiation. The union demands a 10% raise, their position. Management says they can only afford 3%, their position. On the surface, they are at an impasse. But a Stoic approach would ask, what are the underlying interests? The union's interest is not just the number, but the financial security and sense of being valued for their workers. Management's interest is not just saving money, but the long-term financial viability of the company. With these deeper interests in view, a shared path can be sought. Perhaps they can agree on a 5% raise, but also implement a profit-sharing program. This addresses the workers' need for security and recognition while tying their success directly to the company's viability, which addresses management's core interest. They have moved from opposing peaks to climbing the same mountain together. To practice this in your own life, follow these steps. First, consciously reframe the conflict from me versus you to us versus the problem. Simply saying aloud, "Okay, we have a problem here. How can we solve it together?" can fundamentally shift the energy of the interaction. Second, become a detective of needs. Look past the demands and ask about the desires. Why do they want what they are asking for? What are they hoping to achieve? What need is not being met? Third, identify shared values. Even in the most bitter disputes, you can often find common ground in abstract principles. Do you both value fairness, honesty, family, security? Acknowledging a shared value, I know we both want what's fair here, can build a bridge of trust across the divide. Finally, start small to build momentum. Don't try to solve the entire conflict at once. Find one small point of agreement, no matter how trivial. Okay, so we can both agree that the current situation isn't working. That small yes creates a foundation of cooperation upon which larger agreements can be built. Seeking the shared path is an act of profound optimism and strategic wisdom. It requires you to believe that a solution that honors both parties is possible, and it gives you the tools to find it. It transforms you from a warrior fighting for your own peak into a guide leading both parties toward a higher, shared summit. Number 5, appeal to their inner values. Imagine you are facing a mighty oak tree, its roots dug deep into the earth, its trunk unyielding. You cannot move this tree with brute force. Pushing against it is futile, it will only exhaust you. A prudent Stoic, however, would not see the tree as an obstacle, but as a living entity with its own nature. They would understand that the tree isn't moved by force, but nourished by water and guided by sunlight. To influence the tree, you must appeal to what it naturally seeks. This metaphor illustrates the fifth and perhaps most subtle Stoic tactic, appealing to their inner values. Instead of attacking your opponent's position directly, you align your proposal with the principles and values they already hold dear. This is not manipulation, it is the art of respectful persuasion. You are not trying to change who they are, you are showing them how your desired outcome is consistent with who they believe themselves to be. People's actions are governed by their internal compass, their deeply held beliefs about what is right, just, honorable, and good. When you argue against their position, you are often, in their eyes, arguing against their values. This forces them to defend not just their argument, but their very identity, making them dig in their heels even further. But when you can frame your argument in the language of their values, you are no longer an adversary. You become an ally, helping them to act in greater alignment with their own moral code. Let's say you are trying to convince a fiscally conservative manager to invest in a new training program for your team. A direct appeal based on, "it will make my team happier," might fail, as it doesn't speak to their core value of financial prudence. A Stoic approach would require you to first become an archaeologist of their values. You listen to them in meetings, you read what they write. You discover they pride themselves on efficiency, long-term ROI, and eliminating waste. Now, you reframe your proposal. You don't talk about happiness, you talk about investment. You present the training program as a way to increase team efficiency by 15%, reduce costly errors, and generate a significant long-term return on investment. You show them how this program is the most fiscally responsible decision they can make. You are speaking their language. You are appealing to their identity as a prudent and wise steward of company resources. They are more likely to agree, not because you forced them, but because you have shown them a path that confirms their own values. To practice this sophisticated art, first, conduct your value reconnaissance. Before you enter a conflict or negotiation, do your homework. What does this person care about? What principles do they frequently invoke? Are they driven by loyalty, fairness, innovation, tradition, or compassion? Second, bridge the value gap. Find the common ground between what you want and what they believe. Identify a shared value that can serve as the foundation for your argument. Third, speak their language. Frame your case using their vocabulary and their moral framework. Show them how your solution is not a compromise of their values, but an expression of them. Fourth, show, don't just tell. Actions speak louder than words. Provide concrete examples or data that demonstrate how your proposed solution aligns with their values in practice. This moves your argument from the abstract to the tangible. Remember, this process must be undertaken with genuine respect. The goal is not to trick them, but to find a true alignment of interests. By appealing to their inner values, you transform yourself from a force of opposition into a gentle, guiding light, showing them a way forward that feels not like a concession, but like a confirmation of their own integrity. This is the height of persuasive art, to help someone choose your path because it resonates with the deepest part of themselves. Number 6. Wield humor with wisdom. Imagine yourself walking a tightrope stretched taut over a chasm of conflict. The air is thick with tension. Every step is fraught with peril. A single misstep, a clumsy word, an aggressive tone, could send you plummeting into a pit of resentment and further hostility. In this precarious situation, a Stoic sage might hand you a balancing pole. That pole is humor. The sixth Stoic technique is the wise and careful use of humor to resolve conflict. Laughter, when wielded with precision and care, can be a remarkably powerful tool. It is a pressure release valve, capable of instantly diffusing tension, breaking down defensive walls, and reminding both parties of their shared humanity. A well-timed joke or a moment of light-hearted self-deprecation can transform a standoff into a conversation, reminding everyone that the issue at hand, while important, does not have to be a grim, soul-crushing battle. However, as Seneca wisely cautioned, a joke is a very fragile thing. Like a surgeon's scalpel, humor can heal or it can wound, depending entirely on how it is used. Misused, it becomes sarcasm, ridicule, or dismissiveness, which will only pour fuel on the fire. Therefore, to use humor effectively, one must do so with the discipline and awareness of a true Stoic. Here are the guiding principles for wielding humor wisely. First, know your audience. Humor is deeply subjective. Before you attempt a joke, consider the personality and emotional state of your opponent. Are they someone who appreciates wit, or are they likely to perceive any levity as a sign that you are not taking them seriously? When in doubt, err on the side of caution. The goal is to connect, not to perform. Second, aim for shared laughter, not targeted ridicule. The most effective humor in a conflict is inclusive. It is laughing with someone about a shared predicament, not laughing at them. Self-deprecating humor is often the safest and most powerful form. By making a light-hearted joke at your own expense, well, I'm clearly not going to win any debate championships today, you demonstrate humility and a lack of ego. You signal that you are not there to win, but to solve. This can instantly make the other person feel safer and more open. Third, timing is everything. Read the emotional atmosphere of the room. If tensions are at their peak, if someone is expressing deep hurt or anger, introducing humor can be disastrously inappropriate. It will be seen as mockery. Humor is best used as a tool to prevent a conversation from escalating, or to lighten the mood after the most intense emotions have been acknowledged and have begun to subside. Fourth, keep it kind. Absolutely avoid sarcasm, irony, or any form of humor that belittles the other person or their position. Your humor should be a gentle breeze, not a biting wind. The aim is to build a bridge, not to burn one. Let's imagine a tense budget meeting where two department heads are at odds over limited resources. The conversation is becoming heated. One manager, practicing this Stoic art, might pause, smile gently, and say, "Well, it seems we both have champagne tastes on a beer budget. I guess that makes us partners in ambition, if not in funding." This small, self-aware joke doesn't dismiss the seriousness of the problem, but it reframes the dynamic from adversaries to collaborators facing a common challenge. It creates a momentary truce, a shared smile that can pave the way for more productive problem solving. Remember, humor is a tool, not a crutch. It cannot replace the need for sincere communication and genuine problem solving. But when used wisely, with empathy and precision, it can be the balancing pole that allows you to navigate the tightrope of conflict and reach the other side not just safely, but perhaps even with a shared sense of relief and connection. Number 7. Offer the gift of empathy. Imagine you are standing on a rugged mountain trail, looking across a deep chasm at another climber on an opposing cliff. They seem agitated, their movements sharp with frustration, their voice echoing across the valley, filled with anger. Your instinct might be to shout back, to defend your own trail, to assert the rightness of your position from a distance. But the Stoic approach calls for something far more courageous. It asks you to descend from your high ground, to carefully find a path into the chasm, and to cross over to their side, not to surrender your position, but simply to see the world from where they stand. This is the essence of our seventh strategy, offering the profound gift of empathy. Empathy is perhaps the most powerful and transformative tool in the Stoic arsenal for conflict resolution. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly coached himself to understand the motivations of others, to enter their governing principles, and to see the world through their eyes. He knew that true connection, and therefore true resolution, is impossible without first bridging the gap of understanding. It is crucial to distinguish empathy from sympathy or agreement. Sympathy is feeling for someone. Agreement is accepting their position as correct. Empathy is feeling with them. It is the act of imaginatively placing yourself in their shoes and understanding their emotional state and perspective, even if you fundamentally disagree with their actions or conclusions. When you offer empathy, you are communicating something incredibly powerful. I see you. I hear you. Your feelings are valid, even if I see things differently. This validation is a deep human need. When people feel heard and understood, their defensiveness naturally lowers. Their anger softens. They become less of an opponent and more of a person. Here is how you can cultivate and express this Stoic superpower. First, listen beyond the words. People's truest feelings are often communicated not in what they say, but in how they say it, their tone of voice, their body language, the flicker of emotion in their eyes. Listen for the underlying pain, fear, or frustration that is fueling their words. Second, validate their feelings without validating their behavior. This is a critical distinction. You can say, I can see how incredibly frustrating this situation must be for you, or, it sounds like you felt deeply disrespected by what happened. These statements acknowledge their emotional reality without conceding your own position. You are holding a mirror up to their feelings, which allows them to feel seen. Third, look for the hidden wound. Often, intense conflict is not about the present issue, but is a reaction triggered by a past hurt. The anger they are showing you may be the echo of a time they were betrayed, ignored, or taken advantage of. While you are not their therapist, recognizing this possibility allows you to respond with compassion rather than reacting to the surface-level aggression. You understand that their battle may not be with you at all. Imagine you are a customer service manager dealing with an irate client. They are shouting about a product failure. Instead of defending the company or quoting policy, you begin with empathy. Sir, I can hear how furious you are, and frankly, I would be too if I were in your position. It is completely unacceptable that our product failed you like this, and I want you to know that I am going to personally take ownership of making this right. In that single moment, you have transformed the entire dynamic. You are no longer an enemy company representative, you are an ally who understands their frustration. The client's anger will almost certainly dissipate, and they will become cooperative in finding a solution. Offering empathy is an act of strength and courage. It requires you to set aside your own ego, your own need to be right, and to enter the emotional world of another. But in doing so, you build a bridge of understanding across the chasm of conflict. And it is on that bridge that genuine, lasting resolutions are found. Number 8, embrace the art of compromise. Imagine once more that formidable oak tree, its branches reaching for the sky, its form a testament to its unyielding nature. Now, picture a slender bamboo shoot growing beside it. When a strong wind blows, the rigid oak resists with all its might, risking its branches in the struggle. The bamboo, however, bends. It yields to the force of the wind, flowing with it, only to return to its upright position once the gust has passed. The bamboo survives not through stubbornness, but through flexibility. This is the spirit of our 8th Stoic tactic, embracing the art of compromise. In a culture that often glorifies winning at all costs, compromise can be mistaken for weakness or defeat. But from a Stoic perspective, the ability to bend without breaking is a sign of profound wisdom and strength. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus advised, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but rather wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." This teaches us that rigidity in the face of life's changing winds leads only to frustration and fracture. True tranquility is found in adaptation. Compromise is not about abandoning your principles or sacrificing what is most important to you. It is the strategic act of letting go of less critical points in order to achieve a greater, more harmonious outcome. It is recognizing that a partial victory that preserves a relationship or achieves a functional solution is often far superior to a total victory that leaves behind a wake of destruction. To practice this art, you must first become a skilled strategist of your own desires. First, differentiate your wants from your needs. Before entering a negotiation or conflict, take the time to clarify for yourself what is truly essential, your non-negotiable needs, and what is merely a preference, your negotiable wants. Your need might be to feel respected in the workplace. Your want might be to have your specific idea chosen for the project. If you can secure your need for respect while compromising on your want for a specific outcome, you have achieved a wise compromise. Second, reframe compromise as a collaborative win. Instead of viewing it as losing something, see it as gaining something else, a solution, a preserved relationship, peace of mind. Shift your thinking from a zero-sum game, if they win, I lose, to a collaborative effort to find the win-win, or, at the very least, the win-enough solution where both parties feel their core needs have been addressed. Third, offer the first concession. In a tense standoff, both parties are often waiting for the other to show a sign of flexibility. Be the stronger, more confident party by offering a small, strategic concession on a point that is a want for you, not a need. This act of goodwill can break the deadlock and signals to the other party that you are there to solve the problem, not just to win. Consider two parents co-parenting after a divorce. They are in conflict over the holiday schedule. The mother's position is that she wants the children for Christmas Day. The father's position is that he wants them. Their underlying need, however, is the same, to create joyful holiday memories with their children. A rigid, position-based battle will only create stress for everyone. A compromise-based solution could involve the children spending Christmas Eve and morning with one parent, and Christmas afternoon and evening with the other. Or perhaps they alternate the holiday year by year. Both have bent a little, but in doing so, they have honored their shared, fundamental need and preserved a functional co-parenting relationship for the benefit of their children. Embracing compromise does not mean you are a doormat. It means you are a pragmatist. You are like the bamboo, strong enough to hold your ground, but wise enough to bend when necessary. It is a testament to your confidence that you do not need to win every point to maintain your integrity. It is the quiet, resilient strength of someone who values peace over pride, and solutions over standoffs. Number 9, seek external aid without shame. Imagine you are lost in a dense, thorny thicket. The branches snag at your clothes, the thorns scratch at your skin, and every path you take seems to lead you deeper into the maze. You are stuck, and your own efforts to break free only seem to entangle you further. In this moment, would it be a sign of weakness to call out for help? To seek the guidance of someone with a map, a compass, or a view from above the thicket? Of course not. It would be the wisest possible course of action. This is the scenario for our 9th Stoic strategy, seeking external aid without shame. In conflicts where communication has completely broken down, where emotions are too raw, and where a resolution seems impossible, the most courageous and strategic move can be to involve an impartial third party. The Stoics championed reason and community, understanding that our individual perspective is often limited. Seeking help is not an admission of failure, it is a powerful declaration of your commitment to finding a positive outcome. A mediator, a counselor, a therapist, or even a trusted and neutral mentor can act as this guide. They bring a fresh perspective, untainted by the emotional history of the conflict. Their role is not to take sides, but to help clear the thorny undergrowth of miscommunication and lead both parties back to a place of reason. Here's how an external guide can transform a deadlocked conflict. First, they create a safe and structured environment. When emotions are high, conversations can quickly become chaotic and destructive. A skilled mediator enforces ground rules for communication, ensuring that each person gets to speak without interruption and that the dialogue remains respectful. This controlled environment itself can be enough to lower the emotional temperature and allow for productive conversation. Second, they act as a translator for emotion. They are trained to listen beneath the angry words and help each party articulate their underlying needs and fears in a way the other can hear. They can rephrase an accusatory statement like, "You never listen to me," into a more vulnerable and understandable need. "It sounds like it's very important for you to feel heard and respected in this relationship." Third, they illuminate the path to common ground. Because they are not emotionally invested, they can often see the points of shared interest or potential compromise that the conflicting parties are blind to. They can hold up the map and show you the way out of the thicket that you were too entangled to see for yourself. Fourth, they can equip you with new tools. A good counselor or mediator doesn't just solve the immediate problem. They teach you new skills in communication, conflict resolution, and emotional regulation that you can carry with you into the future, strengthening your relationship and making you better equipped to handle future disagreements. Consider a business partnership on the verge of collapse. The two partners, once close friends, can no longer speak to each other without arguing. They are stuck in a loop of blame and resentment. Bringing in a professional mediator is not a sign that their business has failed, it is a sign that they value it enough to try to save it. The mediator can help them untangle years of unspoken grievances, clarify their financial and operational disagreements, and guide them toward a restructured partnership agreement or even a respectful dissolution of the business. Either outcome is superior to a destructive, litigious implosion. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that wisdom lies in recognizing our own limitations. No one has all the answers. To ask for help is a sign of profound humility and strength. It is an acknowledgement that your ultimate goal is resolution, not ego gratification. So, if you find yourself lost in the thicket of conflict, do not be ashamed to call for a guide. It may be the very act that leads you back to the clear, open path. Number 10. Bestow upon yourself the gift of forgiveness. Imagine you are shackled to a great, heavy stone. Its weight digs into your soul, its rough edges constantly scraping against your spirit. This stone is the burden of resentment, the anchor of a past grievance. It keeps you tethered to a moment of pain, preventing you from moving forward, draining your energy with its relentless pull. You can drag this stone with you for your entire life, but you will never walk freely. The 10th Stoic strategy offers you the key to unlock this shackle. It is the act of forgiveness. Seneca wrote with profound insight, "He who is revengeful lives with a wound always open." Forgiveness, from a Stoic perspective, is not a gift you give to the person who wronged you. It is a profound act of self-liberation. It is not about condoning their actions, forgetting the pain, or reconciling the relationship. It is the conscious, deliberate choice to release yourself from the toxic bonds of anger and bitterness that are poisoning your own mind. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. The only person it truly harms is you. It consumes your mental energy, clouds your judgment, and prevents you from experiencing present and future joy. To forgive is to declare, "I will no longer allow what you did in the past to control my present. I choose my own peace over this burden." This is one of the most challenging Stoic practices, as it runs counter to our primal instinct for justice and retribution. But it is also one of the most rewarding. Here is how to begin this journey of self-liberation. First, shift the focus from them to you. Acknowledge the heavy price you are paying for holding on to this grudge. How is this anger affecting your health, your relationships, your ability to be happy? Recognize that forgiveness is a radical act of self-care. It is you prioritizing your own well-being above the satisfaction of remaining angry. Second, embrace a broader perspective. Stoicism encourages us to see the bigger picture, to understand the flaws and frailties of human nature. The person who wronged you likely acted from their own place of pain, ignorance, or fear. To understand this is not to excuse their behavior, but to depersonalize it. It helps you see their action as a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not as a definitive statement about your worth. This can loosen the grip of the personal injury. Third, separate forgiveness from forgetting. Forgiving does not mean erasing the memory of what happened. The memory serves as a valuable lesson. It teaches you about setting boundaries, about recognizing warning signs, about protecting yourself in the future. You can let go of the corrosive emotion of resentment while retaining the wisdom of the experience. Fourth, understand that forgiveness is a process, not a single event. It is a practice. There will be days when the anger resurfaces. In those moments, do not judge yourself. Simply acknowledge the feeling and gently renew your commitment to letting it go. It may require you to forgive the same offense 100 times, but each time you do, the stone becomes a little lighter. Think of someone like Nelson Mandela, who had every right to be consumed by bitterness after 27 years of unjust imprisonment. Yet, he chose forgiveness. He knew that if he walked out of prison carrying the anger and hatred of the past, he would remain a prisoner in his own mind. His forgiveness was not a sign of weakness, it was an act of monumental strength that allowed him to lead a nation toward reconciliation. You hold the key to your own prison. The stone of resentment will only remain as long as you choose to hold the chain. To forgive is to consciously decide to put the key in the lock, to release the shackle, and to walk forward into the future, unburdened and free. It is the ultimate victory of the self-mastered soul. Number 11, rise from the ashes of conflict. Imagine a magnificent phoenix, a creature of myth and legend. At the end of its life, it does not simply perish. It builds a nest of fragrant spices, ignites it, and is consumed in a brilliant pyre of flame. This is the moment of conflict, of destruction, of what seems like an end. But from the ashes, a new phoenix arises, reborn, stronger, and wiser than before. This powerful metaphor embodies the spirit of our 11th Stoic strategy, using conflict not as a destructive end, but as a crucible for personal growth. Epictetus gave us the ultimate Stoic command for this practice: make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. While we cannot always control the outbreak of conflict, we have absolute power over whether we allow it to diminish us or we choose to forge it into a tool for our own evolution. For many, conflict is a purely negative experience, something to be avoided or endured. But for the practicing Stoic, every disagreement, every argument, every moment of friction is a rich source of data. It is a diagnostic test for the soul, revealing our weaknesses, our triggers, our blind spots, and our opportunities for growth. To transform conflict from a battle into a classroom, you must engage in the practice of radical self-reflection after the fact. Once the emotional heat of the moment has subsided, you must have the courage to perform a personal post-mortem. Here's how to begin this life-altering adventure. First, adopt a learner's mindset. Shift your perspective from seeing conflict as a failure to seeing it as feedback. Approach the analysis with genuine curiosity, not self-judgment. Ask not, who was right, but, what can I learn? Second, conduct your own honest excavation. Ask yourself a series of unflinching questions. What triggered my emotional reaction? Was my response proportional to the situation? Where did my ego get in the way? Did I communicate my needs with clarity and calm, or with aggression and accusation? Did I listen with the intent to understand, or only to rebut? Be brutally honest with yourself. This is where the real growth happens. Third, identify actionable areas for improvement. This reflection is useless if it does not lead to a change in future behavior. Convert your insights into concrete goals. For example, if you realize you have a tendency to interrupt people when you feel defensive, your actionable goal might be, in my next disagreement, I will practice pausing for 3 seconds after the other person has finished speaking before I respond. If you realize you avoid difficult conversations, your goal might be to initiate one small, necessary conversation this week. Fourth, seek constructive criticism from a trusted source. If you have a mentor, a therapist, or a wise and loyal friend, have the courage to ask them for their perspective. Say, I recently had a conflict, and I'm trying to learn from it. From what you know of me, what are my patterns in a disagreement? Where are my blind spots? This external feedback can be an invaluable source of insight. By embracing this practice, you change your relationship with conflict forever. It ceases to be a source of dread and becomes an opportunity. A difficult conversation with your partner becomes a chance to practice empathy. A disagreement with your boss becomes a training ground for calm communication. An argument with a friend becomes a lesson in setting boundaries. You become the phoenix. You allow the fires of conflict to burn away the weaker, more reactive parts of your personality, the pride, the insecurity, the impatience. And from those ashes, you emerge with greater self-awareness, emotional resilience, and the quiet, unshakable strength of a person who is not afraid to learn from life's hardest lessons. Number 12, the protective art of setting boundaries. Imagine you are standing on a pristine, beautiful beach, the waves lapping gently at your feet. This beach is your inner world, your peace, your well-being, your emotional energy. Now, imagine people begin to walk across your beach, leaving their footprints, their trash, and their noise, disrupting your tranquility. If you do nothing, your sanctuary will soon be overrun. Setting a boundary is the act of drawing a clear, respectful line in the sand. It is not building a wall to keep everyone out, it is creating a fence that says, this far, and no further. This space is mine, and I will protect it. Our 12th Stoic tactic is the crucial and empowering art of setting boundaries. The Stoics understood that while we must live in a community with others, we cannot allow their actions or demands to erode our own inner fortress. Epictetus reminds us, it is not the event itself that troubles us, but our view of it. While we cannot control the actions of others, their requests, their criticisms, their emotional states, we have absolute control over our response, and that includes defining what we will and will not accept. Setting boundaries is a profound act of self-respect. It is a declaration that your time, your energy, and your mental health are valuable. For many, especially those conditioned to be people-pleasers, this can be incredibly difficult. It can feel selfish or confrontational. But the Stoic understands that it is the opposite. Healthy boundaries are the foundation of healthy relationships. They prevent the buildup of resentment that ultimately poisons connection. Here is how you can practice this Stoic art of self-protection. First, identify your own inner guidance system. Before you can communicate a boundary to others, you must first be clear on it yourself. Pay attention to your feelings. When do you feel drained, resentful, or taken advantage of? These feelings are signals from your inner compass, pointing to a place where a boundary needs to be established. What are your non-negotiables? What behaviors are simply not acceptable to you? Second, communicate your boundaries clearly, calmly, and firmly. Avoid vague or apologetic language. Use direct, I statements. For example, instead of a passive-aggressive hint, a clear boundary sounds like, I am happy to help you with your project, but I am not available to work on weekends. My weekends are reserved for my family and my own rest. Or, I value our friendship, but I will not engage in conversations that are based on gossip. I am going to change the subject now. Third, be consistent. This is the most critical part. A boundary is meaningless if it is not consistently enforced. When you first set a boundary, people may test it. They are used to the old dynamic. You must be prepared to politely and firmly restate your boundary as many times as necessary. Every time you hold the line, you are teaching others how to treat you, and you are reinforcing your own self-worth. Fourth, prepare for pushback without feeling guilty. It is not your responsibility to manage other people's emotional reactions to your boundaries. Some may react with anger or disappointment. That is their issue to work through, not yours. Your responsibility is to your own well-being. Remember that those who respect you will respect your boundaries. Those who don't are revealing something important about their character. Setting boundaries is not an act of aggression, it is an act of peace. It is preventing conflicts before they begin. It is like maintaining the fences on your property, it keeps relationships clear and respectful. By protecting your inner beach, you ensure that you have a sanctuary of peace to return to, and that when you do choose to engage with others, you do so from a place of fullness and generosity, not depletion and resentment. This is the quiet power of a person who knows their own worth and is not afraid to honor it. Number 13, remember, you control your reactions. We arrive now at the final and ultimate principle, the capstone of our Stoic fortress. Imagine yourself in the heart of a violent storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes down, and the waves of chaos crash all around you. You cannot stop the wind. You cannot calm the sea. To attempt to do so is the path of madness and despair. But in the midst of this uncontrollable tempest, there is one thing that remains entirely within your dominion: how you choose to steer your own ship. This is the potent analogy for our 13th Stoic tactic, the very core of the philosophy itself. Remember, you are in control of your reactions, not the events around you. This is the great dichotomy of control articulated by Epictetus, and it is the single most empowering idea in all of Stoicism. It is the key to unlocking a state of profound and unshakable inner peace, even in the face of life's most ferocious storms. The Stoics remind us that our true strength lies not in exerting our will upon the external world, but in mastering our internal one. Our suffering, our anger, our fear, these do not come from the events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them, and the reactions we allow to spring forth. By focusing our energy on our reactions, which are 100% within our control, we reclaim our power from the unpredictable whims of fate. Here is how you can cultivate this ultimate Stoic superpower in your daily life. First, become a vigilant observer of your triggers. Pay close attention to the people, situations, or words that consistently provoke a negative emotional reaction in you. Are there particular types of criticism that get under your skin? Are there specific behaviors in others that instantly ignite your anger? Recognizing these triggers is the first step. They are like the warning bells on your ship, alerting you that a storm is approaching. Second, practice the sacred pause. This is the space you create between the trigger and your response. When you feel that familiar surge of anger or anxiety, consciously decide to wait. Take a single, deep breath. This small moment of delay is a revolution. It breaks the chain of unconscious, automatic reaction. It is in this space that you give your rational mind, your inner Stoic sage, a chance to come online. Third, consciously reframe your perspective. In that pause, challenge your initial judgment. Is this situation truly a catastrophe, or is it merely an inconvenience? Is this person's comment a reflection of my worth, or a reflection of their own insecurity? Ask yourself, is there a more virtuous, more rational, more peaceful way to view this? Fourth, deliberately choose your response. After you have paused and reframed, you are no longer a victim of your emotions, you are a conscious agent. You can choose to respond with anger, or you can choose to respond with calm. You can choose to escalate the conflict, or you can choose to de-escalate it. You can choose to let your peace be shattered, or you can choose to protect it. Remember that your reaction is a choice, and that choice defines your character. To master this skill requires daily practice, just like any other. Every small irritation, a traffic jam, a slow internet connection, a spilled coffee, is a training opportunity. Use these minor storms to practice your steering. Pause. Breathe. Reframe. Choose your response. By training with the small waves, you build the emotional resilience and self-control needed to navigate the great tempests of life. When you embrace this final principle, you do not become passive or emotionless. You become incredibly powerful. You learn to ride the waves of life with courage and grace, finding inner peace not in the absence of storms, but in your ability to master your own vessel. This is the ultimate victory in the art of Stoic warfare, not conquering the world, but conquering yourself. And that is a peace that no external force can ever take away. Conclusion: the victory of a tranquil mind. We have journeyed together through 13 strategies, 13 paths into the heart of Stoic wisdom. We have learned to look beneath the surface of conflict, to choose our battles with care, to speak with calm clarity, and to seek the shared path. We have explored the subtle arts of appealing to values, wielding humor, and offering empathy. We have embraced the flexibility of compromise, the humility of seeking help, and the profound liberation of forgiveness. We have seen how to turn conflict into a catalyst for growth, how to protect our inner peace with firm boundaries, and finally, how to claim the ultimate power, the mastery of our own reactions. These are not just techniques. They are the components of a new way of being. They are the tools to construct a fortress within your own mind, a sanctuary of peace that can withstand the inevitable conflicts and chaos of the world. The Stoic path is not one of weakness, it is the path of silent, unshakable strength. It teaches us that the greatest adversary we will ever face is not another person, but our own untamed impulses, our own unchecked ego, our own reactive nature. The art of Stoic warfare, then, is the lifelong practice of turning that inner adversary into a disciplined and trusted ally. The true victory is not in having the last word in an argument. It is in the quiet realization that you no longer need the last word. It is in the calm that settles over you when you choose not to engage in a pointless fight. It is in the strength you feel when you forgive someone, not for their sake, but for your own. It is in the deep, abiding peace that comes from knowing that while you cannot control the world, you are the undisputed master of your own soul. So, as you go forth from this moment, carry these principles with you. When conflict arises, as it surely will, remember the choice you always have. You can choose the path of reaction, of anger, of ego. Or you can choose the path of the Stoic, the path of reason, of calm, of virtue, of peace. The world is already loud enough. What it needs is not more noise, but more quiet strength. More clarity. More compassion. Be that quiet strength. Be that clarity. The greatest victory you will ever win is the one that happens in the silence of your own tranquil mind. If these principles of silent strength and inner victory resonate with you, and you wish to continue this journey of self-mastery, we invite you to become a part of the Be Audio community. Hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you never miss our deep dives into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Please give this video a like if it provided you with value. It helps us reach more people who may be seeking this kind of guidance. And most importantly, we want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share your own story. Which of these 13 strategies do you find most challenging, or which have you already used in your own life? Your experience is a valuable lesson for us all. Thank you for your time and your attention. Until our next journey together, live with virtue.